introducing Michael Chiara and Clint. So before we kick it off here, I want to give them the floor here to talk a little bit about themselves and what they do.
What's going on, ATL? Awesome, guys. Well, I do appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Definitely a great turnout. Definitely more people coming in soon. But for those that don't know me, my name is Michael Chiara, 24 years old, fitness coach here in Atlanta. Train people virtually and in person. My whole mission in life is to help people become more alive through health and fitness so they can truly access more of who they are.
What's going on, y'all? Jonathan Hessing. I've got a tech company in Atlanta. We've been doing it for 3 years. Shout out Austin Schmidt and Zunero Connie. And recently, my co-host and I, Clint, we started this podcast because we listen to a lot of podcasts, we watch a lot of videos, we read a lot of books, and we have a lot of experiential knowledge from growing companies. And we felt like we would do our generation a disservice if we did not put a mic between us and start recording this shit. And not before long, we had an awesome team of about 8 people helping out with graphic design, video editing, marketing, and everything else. So appreciate you guys, and that's me.
Yeah, shout out to the team. My name is Clint Crow. I got 2 businesses. One of them's in the event rental industry, so we rent out tents, tables, chairs, stages, dance floors for events and event planners in Atlanta. And the other one's in residential roofing. We replace and repair roofs, shingles for homes, and we do a little commercial as well.
Awesome. So we can once again, can you guys give us a hand for the amazing panel that we have for you guys today? Thank you guys. Now, the theme of today is the longevity game. Those who are not aware, Michael Chiara, that is the book that he is author of. So, the first question I'd like to ask is, the longevity game, what does it mean to each one of you guys in each one of your careers and businesses that you guys have? What does it detail or entail for you guys?
So the way I look at longevity is, if you think about it, in every aspect of life, you want to grow your longevity, whether that's relationships, financially, fitness, right? So my biggest thing in life is if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Most people in here, they're alive, but if you really think about it, they're not going after what they really want. They're not living a life out of abundance. They're not living a life actually going after exactly what they want. So my company that I found called Avila, E-V-I-L-A, it's the words alive spelled backwards, right? And it's an acronym, alive. Authentic, lovable, independent, vulnerable, and energetic, right? I want every single person to think about that and understand that that's what you need to be in life to actually live an abundant life. But what most people are, they're dead. Disappointing, exhausted, annoying, and dreadful to watch. As bad as that sounds, that's just what most people are, right? So I think when it really comes to working on yourself more than anything else. Like Abraham Lincoln has that quote, if you had 6 hours to chop down a tree, you take the first 5 sharpening the axe. So it's really about working on yourself, growing out who you need to be, and going after it.
Yeah. Hey, can we get that music off? That would be dope. Cool. Other than that, the longevity to me is iterating through failure. Because we're all big on mindset. That's probably what brought you here tonight. You probably listen to the podcast, you read the books, you watch the videos. But a lot of people, I want to say, get fearful when it comes to that action part. And then when you fail once, you go home. Or if you fail twice, you go home. But if you really want to hustle up and achieve longevity, you got to fail and fail and fail and fail. And with each failure, go with the enthusiasm like it's your first time doing it. And no matter what happens, always be able to emotionally detach from your failures, reflect and learn. And you'll always be able to accomplish. And most importantly, and this is so important, your inputs equal your outputs. The people you hang around with, the things you do, the things you watch, the things you listen to, it all goes in. Your inputs equal your outputs. If you want to go far, put things in your aura, in your environment, whatever is your input, make it valuable, make it count, make it push you towards longevity.
All right, real quick, we have a Nissan Silver Altima, a gray Honda CR2, and a Hyundai Veloster that are about to be towed if you're parked here behind Trader Joe's. So you definitely want to go move that if that's your car. Clint, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just
Yeah.
want to take care of that.
So action trumps everything in the world of entrepreneurship. And like Jonathan said, fail often and fail early, but get after it. When you think about longevity, what that means to me is learning how to scale hard, scale quickly, but also grow within your means, because you don't want to outgrow too quickly and then manage your cash flow poorly and fail. So scale hard, take action, get after it.
So to touch back on Michael's book, one of the many things that stood out to me was the foundation. I think we all know that's a key component of building a successful life. And so my question to each of you panelists here is, what do you think is, like, for you personally, a key component that you think will lead to longevity and success down the road of laying that foundation, or things that they need to be doing right now today?
That's a great question. I'll jump in real quick. I think it's like, all right, so when I was in 3rd grade and my math teacher was walking down the aisles to pick up homework, I was that kid pretending to look for my homework in my backpack, so she would walk past me and forget about it. And the reason I would forget to do my homework is because I never wrote it down in my agenda. And now what I've realized is writing down goals and affirmations and reciting them every morning and every night keeps you in a certain paradigm. It keeps you within these parameters of where you want to go. So every morning I wake up, I have a list of about 15 affirmations that I read, and throughout the day, as often as I remember, I read them, and then for sure every night, and that really keeps me moving on the path that I want to be going on. So affirmations and repetition with announcing and really living through those affirmations is so key.
Yeah, so I'm very, very big on building a foundation around your health and fitness, and every client I take them through this thing called the transformation process. Really focus on 3 main things. Really focus on their mentality, the strategy put into place for their exercise, nutrition, and sleep, and accountability. Right? When you hear that word accountability, like, what does it really mean to you? I think it means 2 main things. It means about being coachable and having some sort of financial investment. There's a story about Pablo Picasso I want to share to give you an idea of what really building a foundation means. There's a story, he was sitting in a city and he was painting pictures, and a family comes in and says, Pablo, I want you to paint a picture for my family. He says, absolutely, take about 30 minutes. So he paints this beautiful picture of his family, and after 30 minutes, he goes, wow, this is an amazing picture. I can't believe you were able to do this in 30 minutes. How much does that cost? He says, sir, that would be $30,000. He said, sir, you did that in 30 minutes. He goes, no, it took me 30 years to do that in 30 minutes. Right? So if you think about that, any single person that you see up here that has not mastered their craft but has put in an insane amount of work, they've gotten rewarded in the light for what they do in the dark. And you have to realize the nights that you're up late, the mornings that you're up, those are all worth it. This compound effect. What you do right now will show up 90 days from now. What you do right now will show up 180 days from now. So that's my intake on the foundation.
So 2 books that I really enjoy on building a foundation for longevity are going to be Atomic Habits by James Clear, and building those daily habits, that daily routine, getting into focus. Because what you do is that input equals output, right? And I'm a big believer that if you can't change your mindset, change your behavior. And it works backward too. If you can't change your behavior, change your mindset, change those inputs, what you're reading, what you're listening to, the content you're consuming. Listen to more audio, read more books. The second one is The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. And the gist of this is that as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a boss, as a manager, as anybody who's in charge, you are the bottleneck. Like, the bottleneck starts at the top. And if you have a culture problem, it's a leadership problem. So establishing that culture, however you want it to look, but establishing that through your own habits and your own the way that you represent yourself at work, in your personal life. That's building that basis for longevity for me.
Another good book is The Longevity Game, and you can check out the covers right here.
Signed copy.
You can go buy the books right there and get it signed.
Shout out to Connor, by the way, Lucid Dreams Publishing.
To tag on to that, Clay, you mentioned habits, which I obviously firmly believe is an important concept and goes along with laying down the proper foundation. So for you guys personally, you kind of talked about it, writing things down, but what is, like, one habit that you do that showed the most growth and allowed you to accelerate to where you are at today?
I would say that mine is meditation. Every day in the mid-afternoon, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see mid-afternoon meditation on my story. It's just something I do. I go get lunch, and then every day I go to the park to meditate. And I heard a couple good quotes around meditation that really make it important for me. One is every controlled breath you take is like your mind doing a bicep curl. And when you think about it with that conceptualization in that context, it really does a lot for your mind and pushes you to meditate. And you could go meditate as easily by going to YouTube and typing in 10-minute guided meditation for whatever you want, for peaceful energy, for positive energy, whatever it is, right? And then the other quote around meditation and why it's so important to me is because sometimes if the fastest way to speed up the results you want is to slow it down. And what meditation does is it completely clears your mind. And I don't want to hear any of the bullshit from anyone in here who says they can't slow your mind down. Everybody can do it. Everybody should do it. And I promise you will see a benefit from doing it.
So for me, I think I get the most benefit out of my mornings. For those that don't know, like I said, I do personal training, so I do wake up 4:30 every single morning. So I do 3 main things that just get me fired up to start the day. The first thing I do is I do 2 sets of planks. Right out of bed, I get on the ground, do 2 sets of planks. That gets my mindset and the mindset into health, thinking about my goals, thinking about fitness. The second thing I do, who knows who Tony Robbins is? Raise your hand. So a couple of us last 2 years went to UPW, Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins, and he teaches this exercise called priming, where he puts you in a state of gratitude. And for me, when I'm in a state of gratitude, I can't think of fear and anger at the same time. So I do priming. It's about 10 to 15 minutes to breathe and exercise. Like I said, it primes your mind for success. And then the third thing I do for about 5 minutes, I get in the shower and I freezing cold shower for 5 minutes. That, I promise you, you do all 3 of those straight for 2 to 3 weeks, I promise you things will naturally change. How you start your day is how you finish. But what happens a lot of times is I talk about positive and negative momentum. You start your day in positive momentum, just keep going up, 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 up. The challenge is most people wake up around 3 or 4 energy and they just slowly go down. They sit in traffic, their boss yells at them for something, they sit back in traffic, and they don't work out, they don't eat clean, they don't get enough sleep, and they think about why they don't have the results in life that they want.
So 2 big things for me are going to the gym every day. It clears a brain fog and gets my mindset right. Now, I do it in the afternoon. I de-stress in the afternoon, but daily gym time is essential. The bigger one for me is going to be reading every day. So I decided I was going to read a book a week, every week, forever. And in the last year, I've consumed over 50 now. And the amount of information I've been able to consume and then regurgitate back, it's like now I have things to talk about. Now I have things like I can pull on facts. And I have thoroughly enjoyed that habit.
Yeah, and one more thing, another good thing which Michael really put me on, and I'm really learning right now, is the effect that your lifestyle and diet have on it. Now, I've eaten a lot of carbs and I've eaten a lot of sugar and I've tested with different things like the keto diet and intermittent fasting, and everyone's bodies are different. Everyone gets affected by different things, but maintaining a healthy lifestyle really clears up that fog that Clint was talking about. So if you make the excuse for yourself that you don't have time to go to the gym right now, first figure that out and make time, but at least be more conscientious about what you're putting in your body. Again, your inputs equal your outputs.
Awesome. So now I want to speak to that. I do believe that every single person has a dream, a vision, a project, something that inspires them to take action. So for you guys all do multiple things. What do you think helps you more when it comes to starting a new project, a new goal? Is it the clarity or the confidence that gets you going in starting that new project?
Okay, well, the confidence helps you take that leap, but as far as clarity goes, I'd assimilate that with planning. And one of my favorite quotes that I've learned recently, and shout out Zunair because he's been a huge part of helping me learn the importance of planning, but an ounce of planning can save you a pound of pain. And that's one of the truest things. So you could have confidence, and I think the goal is to find a spot between fail fast, fail often, and paralysis by analysis, and figure out where in the middle you work at. Because you want to be moving with that confidence and that undying whatever the word is, to succeed, but you also want to have it premeditated. You want to know where you're going. Because like J. Cole says, you can go the long way, but you can go the wrong way.
So on that analysis paralysis, it is so easy to start planning something out and just get stuck or frozen or not figuring out the details. But if you're eating the elephant a spoonful at a time, and even just making the conscious decision, like, hey, I'm going to create a prioritized list. and then I'm going to number this list, and I'm going to attack these things by the most important, the most urgent, and start making progress, even if it's 5 minutes a day. We'll build up to 10 minutes a day. Now you're making progress on your new project. Like now you're knocking it out.
And to that note, real quick, we have a podcast episode coming out on Wednesday or Friday, 15 minutes long, on creating organized lists. So make sure you tune in for that, for the practical gems on what Clint's talking about.
And also on that note, that's how the podcast got started. We just said, hey, we're going to meet and we're going to do it, and we're going to start planning this, and then we're going to film the next day.
So I love that. And I do appreciate you guys having me on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. But so the way that I look at it is when you're starting a new project or a venture, obviously, raise your hand if you're an entrepreneur in the room. And then raise your hand if you work a 9-to-5 job. So this is more so for you guys. If you guys are trying to, become an entrepreneur, start a business, do something for yourself, here's a little bit of advice. So for me, when I was starting out my training business, I really wanted to figure out how to go full-time. Because obviously when you start anything, it's going to take time, it's going to take work, it's going to take effort. But for what most people don't realize is, if you're making a certain amount of money each year and you're comfortable with it, you're probably not going to go work on Friday night. You're probably not going to get up Saturday morning. You're definitely not going to get up Sunday morning. So for me, I took a little bit of a different route, making sure that I put myself in a position to be super uncomfortable to really, really work on my business. Working 4 to 5 hours a day at my part-time job, and then worked 4:30 in the morning to about 9 in the morning, and then from there train more people, network, and do it that way, rather than focus on something that you're actually making a lot of money with. Really focus on something, maybe put yourself in a little bit of a different position to not make as much money, so you really focus on your side hustle. You can turn that side hustle into your main mission.
So on that note, there's 16, if you get a good night's sleep, there's 16 hours in a day. And if you're putting 8 hours of that toward, maybe it's a job you like, maybe it's a job you don't like, that still leaves another 8 hours for passion projects. Maybe you have a commute and it's down to 6 hours. You've got time toward a passion project, and being as young as we are, we've got that advantage of time. Go ahead and get started on it, make that progress, and it could turn into your new full-time job, your new main hustle.
Awesome. So let me ask you guys this as well. What keeps you going in those down times, right? Because it's very easy to get started on something, have that clarity, that confidence. You know what you have to do. But in this entrepreneur life, there are those down times. Maybe the clarity is not as good. What are some of the things that you say or may do to keep you or get you back on track and focused on your mission?
That's an easy one. Because of meditation, I feel like I've been able to detach pretty well and not be so emotionally connected to failures and to losses. So there's not a lot of downtime, but I will say that when there is downtime, your friends and your support group are the most essential part to continuing, because sometimes you do hit humps that you can't get over. Sometimes you do go into walls that you can't figure out how to get around on your own. Find people who are for you, who want to move with you, who want to go the same way, who have the same morals, and everybody will win. And the best thing to do is especially make sure, whether it's a business or whether it's any kind of organization or friend group, make sure everyone has complementary skill sets. Because to move together, I think the paradigm of the culture of everything is changing. Us millennials are bringing a whole new paradigm into what exists right now, and that's collaboration over competition. The fact that we want to work and build with each other right now is a very new concept, and the internet has really brought us together in that capacity. So find people who want to collaborate with you and stay away from people who want to compete with you, and that's really it.
On top of that, the number one thing I preach all the time, you gotta love what you do. If you have to wake up in the morning early, you're gonna wake up for something you love to do, right? Friday night, you have to work on your business, you're gonna do it because you love it, right? There are gonna be those months that you don't make money, there are gonna be those months that you have really, really tough challenges, but if you love it, you're gonna stay the track no matter what. There's that quote, the same water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's not about your circumstances, it's what you're made of.
So I do love what I do, and there are plenty of days that are tough or down. And for the most part, one of the things I tell myself is hey, you're paying your dues to the grind right now. It happens, and this is part of it, and keep hustling. And then the other half is it's like Jonathan said with your friends, also having good mentors. A lot of times it can feel like you're navigating waters with no map. Like, I've never been here before. I don't know anybody who has done this business before. And so how am I supposed to handle some crazy situation? And having mentors you can reach out to, older men or women who have done this or been down this road, they may not give you the perfect answer, but they're going to give you the answer that gets out of love. And so that's been huge too.
Another thing is, last thing I got on this topic is, we have a motto in Hustle Up that's play hard, work harder, right? So you have your first group of people, which is right here, right? And that's play hard, work hard. That's your person who has, a 9-to-5 job and maybe doesn't care to do a whole lot more. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Be happy and give good energy off into the universe. Live your life by design and have fun, but just work hard enough to maintain that. Then you have your work hard, play hard. That's the people that are ruled by the almighty dollar. That's your big corporate executives, right? These are people who live and die by the dollar and live for money. And what I believe, and I think Clint agrees, and the rest of the Hustle Up team, is play hard, work harder. Family, friends, and experiences always come first. That's play. But always be working harder than you're playing to maintain that lifestyle. So play hard, work hard, play hard. But if you really want to achieve freedom, play hard, work harder.
And that goes on the front end and the back end, right? So if I know I'm playing hard this weekend, I'm grinding extra hard that week following up. But then if I just got back from Hangout Festival like yesterday. So then coming back, it's back to the grind. Like, I'm earning it back again.
Let me follow up to that. How do you click your mind back in? Because sometimes people will be dragging, or just there's the after effect of experiencing something like that. How do you snap back into it?
Well, there's two things. For me, it's actually snapping out of it. So when I'm there, I'm trying to be present and be there and not think about work. So getting out of that is harder than getting back into it. But even yesterday, just in raw honesty, I got home, I was on low sleep. It's 2:33 in the afternoon. I'm like, I want to take a nap. I wanted to take a nap. And I went inside and I said, I'm not doing this. I've got stuff to do. And I got out and I did my stuff to do. And I felt better about it. And I had a good night's sleep last night. But it was that feeling of, I have a choice here. And I just decided to make the better choice.
And I agree with that. And I think it's, do you have the short term or the long term in mind? You can eat a piece of fried food because it tastes good, but long term, that's not going to be good for you. You can make short term decisions, but the long term, it's not going to do for you. So again, it comes back to emotionally detaching and thinking, is this a short term decision or is this a long term decision? And then just make your decision based off that, and that naturally will snap you in, out of play hard, work harder.
So one thing I want to talk about next is, if anyone knows about the mentality, they probably were introduced to the law of attraction. That's kind of like the initial step. But there's a misconstrued or misportrayal out there about the law of attraction of, I'm just going to sit here and attract everything into my life and not do anything. And you guys talk about it in your podcast, and Michael talks about it in the book, but it's putting the action in attraction. So talk a little bit more about how you actually utilize the law of attraction to your advantage, and not just I'm just thinking about this, it's going to kind of prosper into my life. What can people utilize it for their advantage too?
No, absolutely. I mean, there are people who just sit there and think, I'm going to make $1 million, I'm going to make $1 million, I'm going to make $1 million. And they're sitting there watching Netflix, right? It doesn't work like that, right? So knowledge, information changes situations, implementation pays the bills. There's no attraction without action. But you not taking action, you not going after it, is exposing your insecurities. And I felt that way by doing a disservice to people by not actually going out there and making it happen. So think about it, if you have this mission in life to go help people, whatever it may be, not everyone's purpose is to help people, but there are a lot of people who do have that purpose in life, to go out there and make an impact. So if you're not going after it, technically you're doing a disservice in other people's lives because they need your call and they have some sort of problem in their life and you're the solution to their problem.
So we read a book. Anyone from book club here? I know a lot of people from book club. We read a book called The Master Key System, and Charles F. Hannell, and he gives this analogy of it's a meditation exercise. He says, pick up a picture and study the picture and look and analyze the details and hold it in your mind and put it down and try and recall it. And you do this. You're supposed to do it, for a week. And by the end of the week, you can see the picture pretty clearly in your your head. You've got the details. And then he brings it to the law of attraction and says, now picture your future. How sharp are your details? Like where do you want to be? Where do you want to live? Do you know who you want to be with? What do you want to be doing? And the more you can firm up the details, the better you can take action, right? So the first half of it, that law of attraction is about seeing it, thinking it, visualizing it. But then without the action steps forward, nothing's happening. So the next step is reverse engineer it. How do I get to where I'm going? And then whether it's daily, hourly, whatever it is, taking those steps to get there.
And I agree with that. And make some noise if you've seen The Secret, the documentary The Secret. I know it's probably more than that. That's cool, right? So that's the big first mindset movie that people do. But what they portray is the law of attraction. What they get wrong is that if you sit in your house and you sit in your room and you think about a bike and you sit there and think that a bike is going to show up on your fucking doorstep. That's not how it's going to work. And after, I saw that in 2016, and after learning and reading all these books, I realized that what the law of attraction means is you change your patterns of what you become aware of. When you start visualizing and having these affirmations, what your awareness, what you see, how you perceive your world changes. And when that changes, you take separate actions. And the more you act, the more you hustle up, the more things out of left field and people and situations out of left field come and work into your favor. Because if you're moving intently and you're moving, most importantly, it's not just about reading and watching and listening. It's about moving. When you move, the universe conspires with you, not against you.
Just to echo on that, if you decide you really want a bike or a new car or whatever it is, and you meditate on it and you think on it, right? The universe, your subconscious, whatever, it's going to start looking for ways to get it. But in order to get it, you have to take that action. And now you're thinking about, how am I going to acquire this new thing that I want?
So we are talking about the longevity game, obviously. This is kind of wrap it up. We got two more questions here. But, with longevity, obviously that intertwines with what kind of legacy you're going to leave here. So I know you guys have visualized what you want your future to like. So can you talk a little bit more about what you expect your longevity to be and your impact here on this earth before you leave it?
Yeah, so for me, I think the biggest thing is if you're sitting on your deathbed with regret, there's no worse feeling than that. Knowing that you could have done more, you could have lived a healthier life, you could have just been better. I think what it really comes down to is understanding that there's so much more out of life than just money and cars and nice houses, right? I talk about it in the book. You can make all this money, you can live like a famous person and everything, but if you don't have your health on point, you're not going to be able to spend the money. If you're 50 years old and you have billions of dollars and you're in the hospital, there's no sort of benefit to that, right? So my thing is, I wanna look and feel 30 when I'm 60. I want to be able to get on a jet ski. I want to be that guy when I'm like 65 and be able to get on a jet ski and like ride around the ocean and not have any like joint issues or be tired. Or I want to be able to maximize my vitality when I'm at that point. So a lot of people, when they say, what does your future look like? They always talk about money or what kind of car they're going to drive. They never think about, I'm going to look really, really good. I'm going to feel really good. I'm going to have an amazing energy. And there's always like that one guy at the gym who's like 75 years old, just absolutely killing it. And it's just so super cool to see because that guy is, again, the compound effect. He's been doing that every single day, brick by brick by brick for years and years and years. And that's why he's got results.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know what my legacy is going to be. But I can tell you what I want to do. I personally believe that I'm just a vessel filled with energy and that we're all interconnected with the same energy. And all I want to do is bring good energy and spread that positive energy the best I can. Right? Like I said, I don't know how that's going to happen in the future. I don't know what my end legacy is going to be. But what I do know is right now, there's a lot of people our age who have ambition, but it's balanced out by fear, which causes you to stall and not move. There's a lot of people who love to learn and not act. So right now, my legacy for this part of my life is to give that energy to hustle up, not quit, reflect, put the right inputs and get the right outputs. because our generation has a lot in store for this world. We really do. A lot of people like to dog on us, but they don't know what we can bring. Statistically, we're the most passionate, we're the most authentic, and we are really going to change this world. So it's really just about understanding you. There is no I, there is no me. You are just a vessel of energy. Put good energy out in the world. And right now, that's to get people to hustle up, not just stay in your head. Keep moving, because when you're moving, you're not thinking. When you're not thinking, the self-doubt and all the fear is gone.
So I obviously want my businesses to do well and to grow, and I also want to start new businesses, but my main passion right now is empowering people with knowledge about entrepreneurship. I want as many people to break the chain and mold of whatever job they don't like and live a life by design. So whatever that looks like, maybe it means getting a job you do like, maybe it means starting a business, maybe it means going on an adventure halfway across the world, but taking action for your life and doing what you want.
So, to follow up on that, Jonathan just mentioned about Hustle Up. In case you guys don't know, this is the Hustle Meetup. And to wrap things up, give these guys a hand first and foremost, man. You got some value on this. Amazing. And this is a question I also want everybody here to take with them and also think about. But we're going to ask our panel, since this is the Hustle Meetup, what does Hustle Up mean to you guys?
Yo, read the back of my shirt. To have the courage, confidence, self-belief, and self-determination to go out there and work it out until you find the opportunities you want in life.
That's what hustle is, and like he was saying, we're going to be doing these hustle meetups once monthly. Our plan is to expand quickly. We want to be in all the cities in the next 2 years, doing these once a month. We put out a lot of content. We're putting out 2 one-hour podcasts and 2 15-minute podcasts, as well as blog posts written by Clint, Kurt, and Connor every Tuesday. We're putting out a lot of content. We really want to engage with you guys because we're hustling on our end, and we want to know how you guys are hustling on your end. We'd love to have you guys as part of this, being in the content. And hustling is just putting it down, moving. Just keep moving. Just keep swimming, right? That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think it really goes into the 4 pillars of life: health, wealth, love, and happiness, right? When you think about hustle up, you think about working, grinding. But then you think about the other areas in life that are important, right? You have your money, wealth, health, right? And these 2 right here, actually, Kurt, there's 3 out of 4 of the people right here are my clients, and I'm so blessed. If you're a client in the room, thank you guys so much. You guys are absolutely amazing. Killing it. And going back to health, focusing on that, love obviously very, very important, a word that's very, very underestimated, but it's one of the most important words in the entire dictionary. And then happiness, you get all 3 of those lined up, it'll equal happiness, right? So that's my definition of hustle up, and I'm super excited for these 2 because I've known these guys for a couple of years now, and it's been nonstop hustling, grinding, making it happen, and making moves in life.
Hustle up to me is about silencing that voice in your head that says quit, and turning up that voice that says keep going, keep chasing your dreams. It is about taking action, whether it's daily or weekly. It is about writing down your goals and knocking out your prioritized list. Hustle up is about getting after it.
And shout out to some people who have hustled up. You see the books over here. Definitely go over there and buy one. Connor and Mike killed it with these. They're doing a book signing. Can you hold up those water bottles right there too? Shout out New Rich. That's going to be the next generation of rich. That's rich mentally, spiritually, and physically. Shout out New Rich. Get your bottles at newrich.com. Shout out Jimmy John's for the sandwiches. That was clutch. I hope everyone got some. Thank you, Red Martini. Shout out the Hustle Up team. Make some noise, fellas.
Hey.
Or everyone, yeah. Hell yeah. So everything I just mentioned, I don't want it to seem like it was an advertisement. At some point, someone had a vision to start something and put it down and hustled up and got it. And now you see brands, and now you see books, and now you see food, and now you see a venue and a team who's bringing you all this content. And that's what it is. It's taking something up here and bringing it out here.
And shout out to GCI Graphics for that awesome banner.
Thank you for coming out tonight, guys. And enjoy the rest of your night networking. We'll be here around.
And one last thing, if you guys found value in this, Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the Instagram page. For the latest blogs, all the content. Go ahead.
Blogs on the website. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. You name it, we're on there. We've got topics covering fitness, relationships, business, mindset. Those are really the four pillars, actually. It's kind of crazy. So follow the podcast, comment on stuff, share it, and we appreciate y'all so fucking much.